So I actually thought this was all going to be sort of said and done by now, but I see in the news Lewis Hamilton allegedly has said he might retire. Allegedly, let's be very clear on that. And everybody is speculating the reasons why he didn't turn up for the awards show, and he's supposed to. Now, look, I'm not sitting on the fence as such, but I do actually agree that if the long-standing tradition and it's mandatory, it's in the rules as I understand it to be, from everything that I've read and heard and have seen, it is in the rules. He's supposed to attend the gala. So regardless of the circumstances, unless it's due to travel restrictions, lockdown restrictions, COVID restrictions, whatever that is, because he is out and about in different countries, then he has to attend. The fact that you didn't like the way you lost doesn't excuse you from that. I support you on the fact I don't like the way you lost. I don't think it was fair. You were clearly 11 seconds ahead. There was an accident, clearly, and it's basically been acknowledged. The race director wanted the finale to be exciting. He didn't want it to be done under a safety car. And basically, whichever way you look at it, screwed Lewis out of his title, his 8th title. Now, if you're just too heartbroken, too upset, you just want to avoid the publicity, sorry, dude. You have to attend the gala. You have to attend the gala. You do. Because that is the rules. Those are the rules that you have to obey. Even though there is a hypocrisy within the FIA at the moment, with one set of rules for one thing, one set of rules for another. But if you're retiring, who gives a shit? You've said, look, do you know what? I've done my bit. I'm 7 times world champion. The only person who is on par with me is Michael Schumacher, arguably regarded as one of the greatest of all time. I don't really do the greatest debates because you just don't know how well another driver would have driven in today's cars, and you don't know how well a Schumacher or a Lewis Hamilton, I nearly said Lennox Lewis then, a Lewis Hamilton would drive in a car 50 years ago. So I always just try to admire people in their prime, in the era that they raced. And I think, largely speaking, when the dust has settled, most people will agree that perhaps Lewis rightfully is the 8-time world champion, just not on paper. If he's got some hunger, I'd love to see him have another go. I think that largely depends on how good the Mercedes will be. Will it be really competitive? Because often they don't talk about this much, but quite often they have little projects in the background going on, little developments going on. So they all know already, or have a good idea already, of what the new car is going to be capable of and whether it's going to be a title challenger. And I hope for Lennox Lewis, where the hell is Lennox Lewis come from? I'm not editing this out either. I hope for Lewis Hamilton that this is the case. I would love to see him get his 8th. I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of Formula One. I'm not Lewis Hamilton's biggest fan. But I do believe he's genuinely a phenomenal driver. And I would love to see him in a title challenging car with his head in the game. Go for it. Because I think if he does, even if it's just one last hurrah, and he's got all of the bits together, I do think that Hamilton is the greatest driver of his era. And I think when he's on fire in the right car, I do believe he's untouchable. And for that reason, and perhaps because of the circumstances, I would like him to be able to be properly crowned as the 8-time world champion, and would then arguably consider the greatest ever. He deserves that. If that's what he chooses. If he does choose to retire, good luck to him. I can understand that. He probably went into that race thinking, if I win this, I'm 8-time world champion. I'm going to knock it on the head. And maybe he felt, if I just get beaten, I'll knock it on the head anyway. And without a shadow of a doubt, he felt he was robbed. And that's got to hurt. That's really got to hurt Lewis Hamilton, to see his 8th title taken away from him. Everybody at the time, the commentators, people at home, anybody who knows anything about Formula One, knew that once Verstappen put on those super fast, super soft tyres, there was no way, once the decision had been made to allow Verstappen to be behind Hamilton, it was not physically possible for Lewis Hamilton to be able to defend. It was not. Lewis Hamilton could have put down the fastest lap possible on those knackered old tyres. Verstappen would still cruise past him. It's the difference of probably 2 seconds a lap on those tyres, which is massive in Formula One. And no DRS to allow Hamilton to try and get him back on the straight. So there's just all of the advantages had been given to Verstappen. And, to use a boxing analogy, if you like, there's a thing they do in sparring with boxing where you put in a fresh fighter for every round. So the guy who's actually doing the training, say the defending champion, he will maybe have 4, 5, 6 sparring partners. And what you often do is get those sparring partners to just take it in turns to get in the ring. So they are always fresh, and you're just getting more and more and more and more tired. And it's getting harder and harder and harder for you. So by the time you get to round 12, the freshest of the fighters is the one getting in the ring with you. And he might then be told to put you under a load of pressure. And you're exhausted because you've gone 12 rounds with 12 basically fresh fighters. And that's what it was like. It was an impossible task for Lewis. And all I will say is, and this is just to finish, Lewis, if you do decide to retire, good luck. Well done on 7. In my opinion, you definitely deserve the 8. And I wish you well in the future. I genuinely do. And if you decide to have another crack at it, I really do hope you have a good car, because I believe that Lewis Hamilton will be untouchable. But whatever you do, Lewis, good luck. Take care. Be blessed.